What up, Buckeye Nation? Welcome to the Scoop. Excited to be here tonight, as always, man. Amazing weekend watching the Buckeyes absolutely dominate on the field. They did more than dominate on the field this weekend, though. We're going to dive into that a little bit tonight. The recruiting side of things, a lot of fire going on, man. A couple big time commitments today for the Buckeyes. Me and Nevada are going to dive into that tonight. Couple pieces of intel on some possible 26 editions as well that I know if you're a Buckeye fan, you're going to want to stick around. You're going to want to hear this info because we know we've got the number ranked class right now. We land some of these guys will be battling for the number one class in the nation. So we'll dive into that. And then a couple tidbits at the end about the game. I haven't really broke it down, said my opinion. So we'll get to that at the end. But I cannot do this without my good friend Nevada. Nevada, what's up, brother? How you doing?
Well, I wish I was doing as good as the Buckeyes are doing because the Buckeyes are red hot right now on the field and certainly red hot on the recruiting trail as well. So yeah, things are good. Things are good in Ohio State land and better than my Packers. My Packers lost today inexplicably to Carolina, which is just heartbreaking. But at least I have Ohio State to prop up my weekend. So thank you to Ryan Day and the Buckeyes for doing your part.
Yeah, I was watching a little NFL here. Just watched the Chiefs go down. Watched Geno Smith go down. Watched a little bit of it. But chat, yo, before I forget, hit that like button for us. Hit the subscribe button as well. And there's something else. I never asked this, but real fast tonight, if you could go hit the like button on Apple Podcast for us for Scoop, that would be amazing. We're over there. It takes 2 seconds for you guys to do. Jump over there if you're a supporter of the Scoop channel, or if you're not and you want to be, go hit the like button for us over there. Helps us out a bunch. But you guys know what to do, man. Super chats are open. Put them in there. Ask questions tonight. But yeah, no, that's what we're going to dive into first. What the Buckeyes were doing off the field. We knew it was a big time recruiting weekend. The Penn State home game. The Buckeyes have upped the home game environment, and it makes the environment better for the fans. But I'm telling you, you know, some of the conversations that have been had today. I've had some of my own as well. And it's to the point, Nevada. Well, we're in a different world of recruiting where everything I've heard today, I've had to take a step back and be like, okay, how much of this was excitement, right? Because these kids are just fresh off the visit. And you know, their blood's pumping. They love what the Buckeyes are doing. I'll dive into it, but a certain recruit said the two other top two teams in his list, they don't compare at all to the Buckeyes. So I took a step back, and then about the time I took a step back, the Buckeyes got two commitments of a couple names we were hearing already, right? One of them, Mason Wilt, an Ohio offensive lineman, 6'5", 295 pounds, out of St. Clair's, Ohio. I'm going to throw up his huddle film right now. He's one of two commits. We're going to dive into him first. Nevada, when I talked to somebody about Mason a while back, about a month ago, I had a conversation with somebody about him. This kid is addicted to the weight room. Bench presses 365 pounds already and squats 500 pounds. So that's one of the things you love to hear, definitely, about an offensive lineman. I'm getting his huddle film pulled up here, Nevada, and you can tell me your thoughts on Mason.
Well, I mean, he's a guy. I mean, I had him referred to, the one of the highest compliments you can give a offensive lineman is that he's an easy mover. That this guy, he moves really well. Obviously, he's got incredible strength. He's a guy that's, like you said, addicted to the weight room. So he doesn't lack for strength, which is really one of the prerequisites for any offensive lineman. But he's got the attitude, he's got the nasty, he's got the high IQ and the intelligence, and he goes out there and he moves better than a guy that big should be able to move. And that's really one of the keys in the modern game right now is, can you pull, can you trap, can you wham, can you do the different things? Are your feet light enough to be able to handle pass protection? And he does all those things at an exceedingly high level. That's why he's so highly regarded in terms of the state rankings, and a guy that Ohio State really wanted, was really excited to go. And If you believe things start up front in the trenches and you like elite Ohio offensive linemen, then you love this kid. This is a kid that Ohio State really wanted, was really, really high on, and got him going to be one of the anchors of the 2027 class. And I couldn't be more excited about him. And really, real, really good get on a good day for Ohio State, coming off a great weekend. This was a nice cherry on the top.
Yeah, and there's another attribute about Mason that you can't get anywhere else in this country besides the state of Ohio, and that's his passion for the Buckeyes. This dude grew up huge Buckeye fan, all of his family Buckeye fans. That's not always the case, right? That's not the case for some offensive linemen in the state of Ohio, but that is the case here, and that's something we talk about. You look at our past national title team, all Ohio offensive linemen. You look at last year's offensive line, a lot of them from Ohio. You look at this year's offensive line. It's something I've spoke about a lot in Nevada about how that adds. I do this. I say, hey, if you're in this chat watching this show, you are passionate about the Buckeyes. Now just imagine if you were 6'5", 6'6", 300 pounds, really athletic, and you could put that passion that you have for the Buckeyes on the field. That's what these kids are doing. Mason was a fan before he was a football player, right? So when you add that to this, I love it. Like you said, super strong. And the fact that the Buckeyes are taking his commitment this early says all you need to know about him as a football player, because they're very strategic with definitely Ohio commits and whether or not they take their commitment. That's something I learned from you, Nevada. You brought that up several times before, to the point where we think they might need to change their ways a little bit, and it's looking like they are. They are really going after 5 offensive linemen in this Ohio class, and this is number 1. Boom, out of the way. Mason Wilt in the class, and a great addition for Tyler Bowen and this offensive line staff they got going on. But, Nevada, you got anything to add to that before we dive into the second one?
Well, no, no, I always think you've got to keep the best Ohio linemen in the home. And like you said, not all of them are, they grow up to be Ohio State fans, which is crazy to think that somebody could grow up in Ohio and not be an Ohio State fan. But Mason was, and they got him. But the number two, the other guy they got didn't grow up an Ohio State fan, but now he's going to be an Ohio State Buckeye, which makes it interesting. Usually those kids come from those border towns, like the areas, the Toledo area or something like that. And I think that's what we got. But all you talk about commit number two as well.
Yeah, commit number 2. If you're a guy that's into the recruiting rankings, this is going to be the one you're most excited about. The number 2 player in Ohio for the 2027 class, Kellen Wymer, did not, as Nevada said, did not grow up a Buckeye fan. And actually, quite the opposite. He grew up rooting for a team that we don't say on here, as well as Notre Dame. So 2 teams that when you say them and you're around Buckeyes, their ears perk up a little bit, and some steam might start coming out of them. Well, this was this dude. He committed to the Buckeyes today, man. 6'5", 265 pounds. Composite ranking has him as 216 nationally, the number 10 interior offensive line. Other sites have him as the number 4 interior offensive line in this class. And this is going to be one of those guys. I think the more people lay their eyes on him, the more the higher up he's going to get. I got some huddle film I'm going to pull up here, let you guys take a look yourself at the dynamic football player that he is. But yet again, another Ohio offensive lineman, that Tyler Bowen. And listen, Nevada, look what he did last class. Tyler Bowen coming in, able to get this thing popping off, able to get some of these guys, these 2, Sam Greer, and the other Ohio kid in, the 2 best football players in the state of Ohio in the offensive line. Tyler Bowen goes in and gets them immediately. They committed early. They've been strong in their commitment. They're going to end up signing in this class. And now he's on to the 2027 class. And he is making these Ohio offensive linemen know that they are top priorities in a national landscape, right? He's not playing the game of, oh, you're from Ohio. We don't have to try as hard with you like maybe a certain offensive line coach did in the past. He's not doing this. So check this guy's film out right here. Nevada, thoughts on Kellen?
Well, like you said, I mean, it's always good when you get when you get one that's a fan of the other team. It feels like you're getting two, and I think it really speaks to kind of Ohio State's. place in the football landscape right now. And as much as Michigan wants to be there, and as much as Michigan wants to, trade off the currency of that national championship a couple years ago, the cheating scandal and everything else that they've gone through has just wiped all that out. And now you've got kids that they recognize I mean, there are levels. Michigan's a good program. Ohio State's a great program, and the question is, where do you want to be? And I think for these kids, it's becoming the difference between Ohio State and Michigan. I'm not saying it's never been as stark, but it's pretty stark right now. It's pretty, it's one of a team that's going to compete for national championships every year. The high quality kids, high academic performers, high spirituality, stability. I mean, all those things. And Michigan represents all the opposite things. All whatever the flip side of whatever I just said is, that's what Michigan is right now. And a lot of kids are, they're seeing past it, whether or not they grew up as fans of the program or not. And that's what makes me the happiest about this one. Just the kid that grew up in the Toledo area, so a lot of people in that area are fans of the wrong team. And despite all that, taking a look at it, it's like, look, the two programs aren't close. I'm going with the Buckeyes. Really excited to get me, as you said, number two player in the entire class, and going to be an Ohio State Buckeye. So really good addition. I mean, two anchors for your 2027 class coming in, literally the same day, getting, two of the best linemen in the entire state. So I could not be more excited about these acquisitions, because this was really good ones, and a real tribute to Tyler Bowen, who's absolutely killing it on the recruiting trail.
Yeah, if you like watching film, I paused this film right now just to show you guys. He plays left tackle for the high school he's at now. Just remember, when you're watching this, he's 6'5", 265 pounds right now. So let's watch this get up here and have the agility to block a safety, let alone run. There he is. Boom. All right, that's a big old dude with the athleticism to run up field like that. Those are the type of players the Buckeyes are after. And if you notice, there's a common theme in both the films we watch, and that's, dude, they are dirty, hard nosed, grinded out type of players, and that's what we love to see. But I'm just getting more excited about the fact that we are prioritizing Ohio offensive linemen so much. I mean, dude, Tyler Bowen did an amazing job doing that, and right now, like I said, we got 5 offers out to Ohio offensive linemen. 2 of them are in the boat already, man. So we could literally fill up our whole 27 class with just Ohio offensive linemen. I love what Tyler's done. That's the thing that gets me the most excited. These are great players, but I just feel like, Nevada, have we not been missing that for the last couple years when Coach Fry was here? Did we miss that a little bit, or am I off there? What's your thoughts?
Well, I think it was a combination of missing a little bit, and I think the classes were a little bit down, because it's I have to be realistic, because I always say I like the Ohio linemen, but if the Ohio linemen are not of the caliber that you need, and I'm not going to pick on some kids, but we took some Ohio linemen that aren't quite the caliber that we need, and those turn out to be just guys, and it's hard to get them on the field. So it's kind of a combination of the two things. But with linemen, I always say linemen take longer than any other position on the field to develop, and linemen, if you're getting kids from home, they're less apt to transfer out. So it's a good I think that position group lends itself to development more than any other position on the field. That they tend to be a little bit more patient. They tend to be a little bit more introspective about things. And when you get Ohio kids, they don't want to go someplace else. They're willing to wait their turn. We've talked about Corey Linsley waiting 4 years to start a game at Ohio State, and then he ends up being the highest paid center in the NFL. So, that's the kind of thing that you get with Ohio linemen if they're of top quality. And this class is certainly of that type of quality, and Tyler Bowen's absolutely taking advantage of it.
Yeah, I love it. And like I said before we dove into this, man, I'm sure Nevada's the same way. But my phone, right on the phone today, texting back and forth with all these recruiting updates: 2027, 2028, 2026. So I got a couple pages of stuff. Not going to dive into all of it tonight, but I do want to hit on a couple other things, Nevada, that we're here in the night, in the 2026 class. That's the 2027 class, starting off to a really strong start. Brady Edmonds, Jameer Brown, these 2 offensive linemen, and I know I'm missing another one in there somewhere, but 2027 starting off super strong right now. 2026 isn't done, Nevada. You were the one that came out and said, hey, look, man, Ryan Day and this staff, changing their strategy up a little bit. We know how nil is. We know the CSC and their rules they're trying to put in. The Buckeyes wanted to sit back and get a feel for how this thing was going to turn out, right? How can we navigate this without being in the gray at all? They don't want to promise a kid anything that they know for a fact they can't commit to and can't give them. That is something Ryan Day and this coaching staff is very strong on. Well, I'm being told they got a pretty good grasp on it now. They got a plan in place, and they're trying to bring some other kids into this 2026 class, some positions of need, right? We just talked about 2027 offensive linemen. Let's get into 2026 offensive linemen. Some might say we got 5 committed already. What the heck we doing, right? Just added the other kid from Ohio, flipped him from NC State. Buckeyes still aren't done, man. They're chasing one. They're chasing the number 70 player nationally, the number 2 interior offensive line in the 2026 class, Kevin Brown. Now, Kevin Brown does not look like an offensive lineman. Kevin Brown is a 280-pound, 6'5" human being that is shredded, right? You know, when those Tennessee offensive linemen took their shirts off and you were like, okay, they look like offensive linemen. Kevin Brown, just a different breed, man. Just a different breed. He's jacked, super good. It's Penn State. He's committed to them right now. Obviously, we know what's going on there. Loves Penn State, right? The next one, WVU. His dad played there as well. He just visited them last week. And Ohio State. Ohio State is now on that list. Kevin said, I will be committing to one of those 3 schools. And he wants to commit soon. In Nevada, we know how this is, right? We know he's just coming off the visit, and we're told different things from different people. Well, you know, I have a source telling me that they would be surprised if Kevin does not end up a Buckeye at this point in time. When he was in the environment he was in this past weekend, he's trying to compare that to the Penn State environment, the WVU environment. And I think it's pretty obvious as a fan, we can sit back and say, hey, man, I don't think those other 2 programs really compare to the Buckeyes right now. So I got to do it, man. I'm going to, you know, I don't do this often. I call it a boys boom. I need to work on the name a little bit. I'm not sold on my name, Nevada, right? Because we're the Buckeye boys. I don't know how I feel about it. But I'm predicting Kevin Brown is going to end up a Buckeye. I don't know if you're hearing anything, and we know how fluid recruiting is, right? I have not spoken to Kevin Brown, but I have spoken to people that have given me insight before, and they have been right before. So I'm getting really good feelings about this kid. He's an absolute dog. And with the shifting landscape, I mean, Mike Locksley got fired today too. So coach is getting fired everywhere. The Buckeyes are going to be opportunistic here. And this is one that I think if you're a Buckeye fan, keep a real close eye on Kevin Brown.
Yeah, look, I'm hearing the same things, and what's interesting, you know, I want to, I don't want to go too far afield, but I do want to call out how great the game atmospheres have been this year, and you know, some of the credit goes to the OSU staff, and I've been the one to be critical when I feel like criticism is warranted, but I want to call them out for that. I think they've done some really good job in terms of, you know, in terms of changing the game day atmosphere, and really turned it up and really done a nice job with that. Having said that, the team obviously, you know, you can do the greatest thing in the world, but if the team sucks, it's going to be bad. Team's doing its part, doing an unbelievable start to the season, just dominating the best team in college football by far, and I don't think it's really even that close. So Kevin got a, you know, quite a show to see the 2 programs, Penn State and Ohio State, side by side. And, you know, if you think about it, if you're really gonna, you know, if you're about your development and your path and the potential for generational wealth, which a lot of these guys are trying to, you know, potentially create for themselves, then, you know, you look at Penn State and you don't know who the coach is going to be. You don't know what the future is going to be. It's, you know, it's a sea of instability right now, and then you flip it over to Ohio State, and I mean, one game doesn't mean everything, but I mean, Ohio State just completely you know, showed that they're at a different level than Penn State. They've got the, you know, Ryan Day, the, you know, the 45-year-old defending national champion. I mean, we've got a lot of things going for us at Ohio State in a situation like this. Now, obviously, you know, Kevin's a Harrisburg kid. Deep ties to Penn State in the program. Obviously, his dad went to West Virginia, ties there as well. But I'm hearing he's going to be a Buckeye as well. So we'll see how this plays out. I do believe, and I told you guys this months ago, that Ohio State has really adopted a lot of the Alabama characteristics of Alabama when they were in their big run with Saban. And one of the things that he used to do famously was swoop in late and get kids. And that's never been the strong suit for Ohio State. And as you said, Ohio State was waiting for some of the NIL waters and stuff to clear so they kind of have an idea of what they're working with. But I feel like they've got a good handle on it. I feel like they flipped a bunch of kids already. I feel like this is another potential flip. And with an early signing day in early December, when's Penn State going to name their coach? They're not going to have much time. So, could this one flip one way and then flip back? Hey, look, it's recruiting. You never say never. Anything can happen. But as it stands right now, I agree with you. I think Kevin Brown's going to be a Buckeye, and I think that this be an enormous get for Tyler Bowen, enormous get for the program, and a really good addition to the 2026 class.
Yeah, I got to correct something I said earlier. I said Loxley was fired. That has not been confirmed. That might have been a troll job on Twitter, but it's out there. They're talking about it. The point I was trying to make is a lot of coaches being fired around here, and the Buckeyes, right? They're going to try to take advantage of that when possible. But Nevada, right? We're hearing about this offensive lineman, not done yet. One more commit I just want to bring up, right? Because of how highly ranked he is and what a position of need that he is for this Buckeyes class. We heard about CJ Borno, the Florida commit, trying to set up an official visit here, cornerback. But Jay Timmons, right? Jay Timmons committed to Florida State. Con3 has him as the number 2 corner in the nation, the number 29 player nationally was at the Penn State game. Nevada, I'll let you hit on that a little bit, but I will remind people this recruit, Jay Timmons, will be on this channel for an interview. He will tell us how his visit went, so you'll hear a firsthand experience from how the visit went for him. But with what the Buckeyes are doing, man, there's a lot of heat coming out of this recruiting trail for the Buckeyes. But Nevada, what are you hearing about Jay and the type of moves the Buckeyes made on this visit?
Well, again, you look at Florida State, which is a program that's in a little bit of turmoil right now. This isn't your dad's Florida State team with Bobby Bowden there and finishing top 5 20 years in a row. They're kind of a mess. And so a lot of kids are looking at that and taking their commitments and really kind of going through a reconsideration process right now. And I can tell you this: Ohio State thinks they got them. Ohio State thinks they got them. It's recruiting. We don't not need to offer all the necessary disclaimers that go along with it. We get it. We understand that. But Ohio State thinks they got it. And, this was a really good weekend. Now, I've seen really the 2006 Ohio State Michigan game. We had every top recruit in there. We win the 42-39 game, and we got none of them. So one game does not turn the things. But this isn't all about one game. This is about Ohio State separating from the rest of the pack in college football as the gold standard for programs right now. And for kids that are looking for that, the kids that want to be part of that, I mean, this is where they want to be. And Jay seems to be one of those kids. They think they're going to get him, and we'll see. If the kind of the luster comes off in the visit over the next few days or whatever it is. But as it stands right now on this Sunday evening, they think they got him, and that's pretty exciting development.
Yeah, it is. And it's just like, if you watch this channel enough, there are certain disclaimers with recruiting that I don't think we need to say anymore. We try to give you guys, keep you up to date on the information that we're hearing. And that's all you got to go with. Recruiting is so fluid anymore. It could change the very next day. But Buckeyes right now got 2 commits in the 2027 class, Mason Wilt and Kellen Wymer, right? We'll see if they end up in the class, but right now they're committed. I love it. It's better than them not being committed or committed elsewhere. So I'm going to take the blessings when they're in front of us and go with it. But Nevada, there's a lot more recruiting things. Like I said, Emmanuel Ruffin, the name to keep an eye on, defensive lineman. Legend Bay, a Tennessee commit, was at the game as well. So the Buckeyes are really pushing in this 2026 class, like we told y'all they were going to. A little bit different strategy this year. So expect the Buckeyes to be the ones flipping this year more than you have seen in the past. We'll see how it ends up. But
All right,
I
let
wonder
me mention
why.
something. Let me
Yeah.
mention something about Legend Bay just for a second. Legend Bay quarterback, 3-star quarterback commit to Tennessee. Ohio State recruiting him as a running back, and really they're really pulling out the stops, and they think he's a future running back at Ohio State, in kind of the Curtis Samuel kind of mode. But they really like him as a running back at Ohio State, and think they have a shot. So that's another name to keep an eye on, Legend Bay.
Yeah. Legend has 1,000 yards rushing, 1,000 yards throwing, 13 rushing TDs, and 19 passing TDs this year so far. So, dude's a football player. Would love to get him into this program and see what happens. But I trust whatever it is, the Buckeyes, with their evaluations of these recruits, there's several sites that are saying that, of course, sites, they say all kind of things, but the Buckeyes are by far the leaders on their senior evaluations with the recruits they're going after. They are all these recruits they're going after, they're flying up recruiting rankings boards because of how good they are. Nevada, I normally don't do this, but I'm going to do this now so we can. This is a recruiting super chat. Thanks for the $1.99, Mike. Any chance with Womack? Um, I don't know if you saw our group message or not about him the other day, but the Womack's name has came up in the Woody in the past month or so. About reaching back out to the Buckeyes and seeing if there's any potential there. That's all I know. That's all I've heard. I don't. The Buckeyes are very particular about who they go after. They want a certain kind of person, a certain kind of family, a certain kind of this. I don't know all the details there, but Womack committed right to Auburn already. The Buckeyes have moved on. They got another safety from Maryland already. I'm not sure there's room in the boat anymore. And I do know the Buckeyes did not evaluate him as high as these recruiting places and as high as he evaluated himself. I would love to have Braylon Womack in this class. I don't. It's not going to happen if you ask me. Anything there, Nevada?
Yeah, look, I mean, I think these things tend to be fluid. But yeah, I think a good summary on it is Ohio State wanted Womack, Womack wanted more, Ohio State even upped more. They reached for Womack. The Womack's wanted more. Womack committed elsewhere. Now Womack's reconsidering coming back at Ohio State. And as you said, I'm not sure there's going to be room at the end. I'm not going to close the door completely because things can change in that, but I think that you've got a pretty good handle on it. I think this is a case of Ohio State might have moved on, allocated that money elsewhere, and may not, but they may be able to circle back on them. But at this point in time, it doesn't look that way. But there certainly is interest on Womack's part to get back on the Ohio State train, which is definitely of interest.
Yeah, and like we said, the safety commit that the Buckeyes got in this class right now, Matty G called him the best free safety in this class. At least that's what Kamari Bing said. So I think the Buckeyes feel very. I know the Buckeyes feel very confident about the commits they have right now in the safety position. Another recruiting super chat, and we'll get to the Penn State game. Greg's, thanks so much for the $2, man. Any new intel on Keemon Spell, the 2027 Penn State commit? He's like the number one running back in the class. David Gabriel Georges is the number one running back as well. I do know the Buckeyes are going after David Gabriel Georges very, very hard. I did not get any updates on Keemon Spell, Nevada. Any updates there?
Well, I just heard that it went really well, but I think they'll know in the next 48 hours how well it went. I think the Spells play it kind of close to the vest. They feel like they had a great visit. It's going to be tough because, like you said, they've got really good feelings on other running backs and other situations that are kind of presenting itself right now. So things went really well. They'll find out how well in the next 48 hours, and we'll be able to get back to you.
Yeah. All right. That's the recruiting stuff. Fluid all the time. We're giving you what we got, and what we got is what it is right now. It's not guesses. It's not thinking. It is what it is right now. We'll see how the Buckeyes in this class. But there's a reason why the heat is turning up so much on these Buckeyes. I forgot to mention Jay Timmons' quote said, I think this is the new Ohio State era, right? So that's what recruits are thinking of this Buckeye program. And you watch what they did at Penn State, Nevada, 14-38. Yes, it was 14-17 at some point in time, but it's like no wonder. Won the national title last year, come out this year. They're number one now in the new actual ratings that actually matter. They're 8-0. Not that that matters right now. It matters what we do in the playoffs. But man, listen, Nevada offensively, the side of the ball, I think the only thing you can just sum this up by saying Julian Sain, J.J. Smith, and Carnell Tate. I don't, you can sum it up with that. Julian Sayin is just has taken over the number one in Heisman odds. By the way, go vote. Go vote for Julian Sayin. Fan vote. Get on Twitter. Put at Heisman Trophy. I want to vote for hashtag Julian Sayin. Go do it right now. You can do it once a day, every single day. So we need to do our part as Buckeye fans as well. But Julian saying 20 for 23, 87% completion percentage. What was it? 5 touchdowns? Am I right there? Yeah. No, four. It was 4 touchdowns. Either way, 87%. The dude is lights out. And it's very obvious to me, Nevada, that this coaching staff is trusting him more and more and more. And we see why, because they should. I think we just saw this team's identity, especially in the second half. The first half of this season, about I think we get so caught up about this rushing attack. It's not good enough. What are we doing? And we had several conversations about like, man, well, how good do we need to be? Do we need to come out and be able to rush the ball really, really good when we can pass like this? The question just got answered in this Penn State game. You don't have to be able to rush the ball extremely well, but you saw what happened in the second half. After airing it out, what happened? Bo Jackson got a 57-yard rush. Why? Because we were killing them over the middle, killing them over the top. The defense got lax. They had to back up. They didn't have a choice. It's like taking candy from a baby. The Buckeyes dominated in this performance, if you ask me. It was my favorite game the Buckeyes have played so far this year. They went through some adversity. We saw what they did out of the other side. It was amazing. 480 yards of total offense. I mean, 316 passing yards, 164 rushing yards. And I loved what the Buckeyes were doing. Towards the end here, we'll dive into maybe a couple things we want to see get better, because that's what we do. I want our Buckeyes to be at the best. We want perfection out of these Buckeyes. Well, they're darn close. Offensively, this game, I loved it. Nevada, anything to add to that?
Well, I mean, so much, I mean,
Yeah,
Julian's like, I mean, he's 80.7% completion right now, and the next highest in all of college football is 73%. So that's how much of a delta I mean, that is a crazy statistic. When you can put it in combination with the second statistic, which is he's also second in the country in yards per attempt. So this is not a guy that's dinking and dunking and dipping and doing, what I'm saying? He's out there firing the ball down the field. And you saw his long passes. I mean, I was making fun at the beginning of the year, Julian can't throw the deep ball. Remember that was starting to become a thing at the beginning of the year. And I mean, my goodness, he's dropping the ball right into the bucket for these guys. The most accurate passer I've ever seen, not at Ohio State, anywhere. He's the most accurate passer I've ever seen. And I mean, people talk about CJ Stroud. CJ Stroud was a career 69.3% passer at Ohio State. 69.3, and Julian's 80.7. So this is
that's
where we're at right now. I mean, it's absolutely rare air. And I think Ohio State is leaning into their identity as a pass first type of team. I think Ryan still gets a little stubborn, still tries to prove some points sometimes. It's obvious when he does it. But I think they started running some split zone concepts with the tight ends and getting them some wham blocks, some counters, and some things like that I think really fit Bo Jackson. And I think Bo had a nice game. So I think the running game is starting to show signs of life, but the passing game is operating at such a level right now that none of us have really ever seen before. And it's fun to watch. And I've said this many times before, but we're getting to the point in schedule where we're running out of games where weather's going to become an issue on the passing game, because once you get to the playoff, once you get to the Big Ten championship playoff, that's all indoor games, or the Rose Bowl. So you don't have weather issues at that point. So Ohio State's really in a great spot. They've got, the right offense turned to doing it. I thought the defense showed a little bit of vulnerability to the power running game, although they cleaned that up in the second half and obviously did a much better job. But I thought, I thought the Penn State OC did a nice job against us. I thought he was frankly a step ahead of us the most of the first half, and kudos to them in terms of doing it. But Ohio State changed some things up, made some adjustments, and completely shut them down. Very satisfying victory in front of a packed house, national television audience, and a bunch of recruits. And yeah, this was definitely a good day for the Buckeyes.
Yeah, it was. Some exciting things in the Wisconsin game, right? We saw Julian actually pull the ball on a QB draw and got some good yardage on it. But in this game, we watched him do some serious navigation of the pocket. And I've been telling people, I told him after that Wisconsin game, I said, after what I saw here, I am fully confident in Julian Sand's legs. If we ever do need him to get out and run for some yards, very confident there. Well, that I thought he was going down on that play when he dodged one of the best defensive ends in the country and Sutton and another guy, and then ran and got that first down on a very critical point in the game. Well, as critical as it could be in that moment. You get what I'm saying? 3rd and 5. Ryan Day even brought it up after the game. But Julian Sand's legs and his ability to navigate the pocket, that's what is so outstanding to me, because it's just like in every angle, every throw, every scenario you put Julian Sand in, he's throwing absolute darts, man. And it's just, it's amazing to watch. It's really, really fun to watch. And you said it, best quarterback ever that I have ever watched play football. You've watched way more football, so it's, I mean, I know we're the same age, but you've just watched a lot more football than me. So, uh, um, Julian Sand's good. Brandon Ennis impressed me as well. Nevada, compared to what we've been seeing, I like seeing him get a little more involved in the game. And the running backs, man, I wish we figure that out a little bit, get more of an identity. But I can see Ryan Day. Everybody's getting snaps, right? There's 4 running backs getting snaps on this team right now. CJ Donaldson with the fumble, that play, what the forward progress was done. Okay, so we don't need to get into that, but offensive line, we see when they break down. Austin Sareveld had a big breakdown, the first one we've seen this year. So, I mean, you can't get on him too much about it. But Julian Sand was able to get out of that, navigate the pocket, get a first down, and he continues to do that. Go off to the side. If you start moving the pocket, any type of throw for Julian Sand, he can do it. He's shown us that this year. Man, I've got to start putting on mute. I'm not even going to waste too much time talking about Gus and Joel Klatt, but I will say the first long pass to Julian Sam, the first thing they said was underthrown ball. This is the first words that came out of their mouth. And I'm just like, is this for real? Are we serious right now? And I heard you guys talk about on your show. Yeah, he said Urban looked awful weak pulling that bell down. I know I went everywhere there in Nevada, but final thoughts on the offense and anything I just touched on there. And then I got a couple things on the defense.
Yeah, well, Julian, I've said this before the season, as someone who's watched Julian play since he was young, before high school and throughout high school, Julian rushed for more yards in high school than Arch Manning did. So,
Yeah.
and Arch Manning was known as like the dual threat guy, the running quarterback, the running specialist. And I was like, dude, you guys have no idea. Julian Saint can run. And now I think you guys are seeing it too. I mean, you're talking about a quarterback who is the most accurate quarterback that most of us have ever seen, and got the big arm. He can make every throw, touch, zip it. I mean, he can level it. He can do anything he wants with the ball, and he can move around the back. Got great pocket presence. I mean, don't tell me when you were watching that play that you weren't thinking that some ex Ohio State quarterbacks probably would have just folded up and taken the sack. I'm not going to name any names, but you know what I'm talking about. Would have just like throw their head down, throw the thing, take the sack, and then we're punting the ball. Instead, he like just moves around, does his thing, goes out there and makes a big gain. So I love everything about his game. The fact that he is a redshirt freshman, the fact that we get him at least one more year with JJ Smith is absolutely crazy to think about. But for JJ, for wide receivers, you have a quarterback like Julian Saint. I mean, think about it, that's your dream, is a quarterback that puts the ball on time and where you want it to go, at all times. So they talk about Brian Hartline's great, wide receiver recruiting, which is absolutely true. Unbelievable recruiter, but it's an easy pull when you're saying, look at the guys that are going to be throwing to you. These are the types of guys that are going to be throwing to you. And I mean, Julian, I shudder to think about what he would have done at Alabama under Nick Saban and stuff like that. He'd have been very, very difficult to beat because he can wing it as well as anybody I've ever seen. But it shouldn't be a surprise. He was the five-star quarterback, number one quarterback in the country. Yeah, Elite 11 winner. He can do it all, and now he's doing it all for Ohio State, and I'm loving every minute of it.
Yeah. Nevada, we just spent all that time talking about the offense and didn't even mention JJ Smith's crazy one-handed catch that was just I wasn't even sure what I saw. I was like, no, he didn't just do that. He had to drop it or something. But yeah, talk about wide receivers. Is it wild to say that I mean, you saw JJ Smith, what Carnell Tate did. Carnell Tate has 9 receptions this year, over 20 yards. He's leading FBS there. He has 712 yards, 7 touchdowns. JJ has 725 yards with 9 touchdowns. I mean, is Carnell Tate playing himself into a top 10 pick in this next NFL draft, man? Is it wild to say that you got JJ's in his own caliber, right? But I think when you're looking around the nation for a receiver that you can compare to JJ the most, that's closest to JJ, I believe he plays for the Buckeyes. What Carnell Tate is doing this year is I mean, it's above expectations for me anyway. It's above what I mean, I thought he was going to be real good, but man, I mean, and then we got to get into the defense. You got anything to add there? You just want me to go into the defense, Nevada?
Well, no, I think the Carnell thing is a great topic just because, you know, uh, truth be told, when it was rumored that he was leaning towards going with his girlfriend and transferring to Oregon, um, I mean, I wasn't happy about it, but I wasn't like super sad. I wasn't like super sad, Panda, about like I'd be about anything. But oh my goodness, he is good. And I think all you could do in terms of kind of evaluating him is compare it to recent Ohio State wide receivers and how those guys are translated to the next level. The JSNs and the McLaurins and the Wilsons and the Olaves and the Harris. I mean, just go on and on and on. And it's hard, the Emecas. And so when you see Carnell balling out like this, it's almost impossible to envision a scenario where he's not a wildly successful NFL wide receiver, and that makes him a first round pick. Whether it be the top of the first round or the middle of the first round or the end of the first round, I'm not sure where he'll fall, but he's a first round pick, and that's not something that I probably would have thought was a guarantee for him at this point last year. I thought he was really good, but first round guy, not quite sure. Now there's absolutely zero doubt he's a first round draft pick, and for him, that's why he came to Ohio State. That's why he stayed at Ohio State. And to have that dynamic duo of him and JJ, um, it's it's funny. I was talking to somebody in the Ohio State staff this weekend, and I was like, man, I really thought Claire was going to get the ball more this weekend. He's like, when JJ and Carnell are running open on every play, it's hard to get the ball to Max. And I'm like, good point. Good point. So yeah,
Yeah.
Carnell, can't say enough good things about him. He was outstanding.
Yeah. Craig asked a good question in the chat. I was working on putting this in the video description before we did it. We will get that done so you guys can pull up the description and see where to go vote for some of these Buckeyes. But for the Heisman, go to HeismanFanVote.com and vote for Julian Sayin, who is number 1 in the odds. But you could also vote for a second Buckeye who is in the top 10 odds. Jeremiah Smith is number 6 in the Heisman odds as well. So HeismanFanVote.com. Do it right now. Right. Well, actually, don't stop watching. Do it right after the show. As far as the wide receiver, you go to BolitnikoffAward.com and you vote for JJ Smith. So if you're a Buckeye fan, get that done right now after the show.
And I also want to call out Ohio State because again, been super critical of them for their lack of promotion of these players, and their Jerry Emick's terrible. So whoever the young intern is that thought of this stuff, top notch, good job. But we saying Heisman.com. They're finally started a Heisman, an official Heisman campaign for Julian Sand, but we saying Heisman.com. And then they've got one for JJ. Let me see what JJ's is. JJ's is JJ for Heisman. So they're finally starting to act. Those are actively, promoting their players. The sites are beautiful. The sites are really, really well
I got it
done.
pulled up.
Yeah, awesome, awesome site. So take a look at those things as well. The fan voting's nice, obviously, just the support. But when you look at the stats and you look at the stuff that's going on with Julian and with JJ, I said before the season, and this was under my wild promote predictions, that we'd have two Buckeyes at the Heisman Trophy ceremony this year. And a lot of people laughed, and a lot because Julian said, remember at that point, Julian said he'd never thrown I shouldn't say never thrown a pass, but never started a game, never had more than 100 yards passing his career. I mean, never done anything for Ohio State, and now he's the favorite after 8 games to be the Heisman Trophy candidate winner. So my predictions are looking pretty prophetic at this point in time.
Yeah, they are. I saw you got that on the board there. So check it out. I got Julian's site pulled up right now. Gives all his season stats: 80.7 completion percentage, 87% for Penn State. Got all the good stuff there. And then let's do this. Um, we'll go over. I got to show you the JJ one since I showed you that one. Sorry if it takes me just a quick moment here. And then here's the Jeremiah Smith one. Yeah, whoever the intern is doing this stuff, maybe a couple games late, but they're still doing it. So 19 games, 87 yards, longest touchdown, 9 receiving touchdowns. You see it, all of it here. I love how they got this thing set up. So real good there. Get over there, Buckeye fans. Do your voting. Do your Buckeye fan responsibilities. But we just did all that, Nevada. We didn't even get into the defense, right? I love this is my favorite defensive game because they went through a little adversity. Not much of it was their fault, of course. We can say can't blame them too much when Will Smith is getting dragged to the ground with a blatant missed holding call on a very critical third down. He would have definitely sacked the QB. He had his legs around his he had his arms around his legs as he was throwing the ball already. But still, Buckeye defense, fumble on their own 20-yard line. Come out, Matty P came out in the second half, absolutely shut him down. No hope and prayer. It's like when Matty P wants to apply pressure to teams, it's almost like it's unfair and they don't have a shot at it. Um, but again, Edric Houston, yeah, I heard you give a shout out to Helping Technician on the Scoop website. Big shout out there. He said look for his ascension. He was the highest graded defensive player on this team. Your eyes might not have said that, but go back and watch the game again. Pay attention to Edric Houston. Did a very, very good job. Will Smith Jr., Kenyatta Jackson, 2 sacks on the game, man. Absolutely came out flying around, playing up to his potential, just getting better. I love seeing the depth and the starters on this defensive line start to play their best football. This is when we need them to do that. And they seem to be doing that. I think the corners had a little bit rougher of a game, definitely in run support. We had over 10 missed tackles this game. So very rare, for these Buckeyes to have that many missed tackles. That's something Matty P, when this defense shows up for practice, I know for a fact he's going to get them together on that one. Actually, I lied. We only had 7 missed tackles. So we had 7 missed tackles that game, which led to some things. But shut them down in the second half, Nevada. This defense, Caleb Downs almost with the targeting call. I heard you talk about that as well. I'm glad they didn't call it. I can argue that he led it with his shoulder a little bit first. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to stick with that one. But glad to see he's not out for the second half of this next game we're playing. But man, not enough good things to say about this Buckeye team. It almost gets repetitive every show you come on here, and I just get more amazed, more excited with what I'm seeing. This coaching staff doing an amazing job of keeping these guys grounded and not eating that rat poison of, oh, you're the number one team. You got 5 of the best players in college football on the team. You got, I don't know how many first-round draft picks, but we might have 5 first-round draft picks in just this upcoming draft. But we'll see. Nevada, anything else you want to add to the defense here? Matty P and this defense and even the depth pieces here, they're showing up and showing out, man.
Well, they show that they can be attacked a little bit when you get those, they've gone with those 2 extra linemen and we're running those sweeps, kind of attacking those defensive backs. Which really, with the way the rules are, where you can't go low on those guys, It's hard if you're a defensive back and all of a sudden you got this 350-pound guy running at you, in space. It's hard to kind of take him on and take him on above the waist and not be able to chop him down. So no, I think it's going to give Ohio State some stuff to work on. And I like the fact that Kenyatta Jackson had gone to Matt Patricia this week and said, "Hey, look, I really want to get after a little bit more. I want to get after. I know you guys have been asking us to cage. I know you guys have been asking to." And they specifically unwound him in the second half, and we had 4 sacks, minus 39 yards, held him to whatever it was, ridiculous yard. But I think when we want to turn it on from a pass rush standpoint, we have the ultimate. Arvell Reese is the closest thing that I've seen to Micah Parsons in college football thing in a long time. I mean, that's
Yeah.
who he is. I mean, as a Packer fan, I'm just like I'm thrilled that we got Micah Parsons, but I'm like, man, I wish we had Arvell. I mean, Arvell Reese he's the cheat code. As good as Caleb Downs is, I'm going to say it. Arvell Reese is better. Arvell, I mean, and that's no disrespect to Caleb Downs, and just Arvell is he's just a violence machine out there. He just sheds blocks, and every time he pass rushes, he either speed rushes around the guy's corner and is bendy enough to get around him and make the play, or he'll go right through them, and he's violent enough just to and strong enough to go right through them. So when you can do it either way, he's not just a speed rusher, or he's not just a bull rusher. I mean, the way that he plays, his ability to read and recognize and hit all over the field, man, he is good. He is so good. And yeah, the defense is a lot of fun. I have so much confidence in the defense when they go out there. But I'm with you. I'm glad they faced a little bit of adversity. I'm glad they had a team that had a little bit of success on them, so that they can kind of go back to the drawing board, clean some things up, and really kind of tone it up here these next 4 games and finish the regular season strong.
Yeah, it was awesome to see because I feel like last year, we had a different defensive coordinator. There was a lot of times we're struggling defensively in the first half, come out second half, and you just don't see a lot of adjustments being made. We actually witnessed that in the Penn State game. Not a lot of adjustments were made to shut down these Buckeyes over the top, which was where they were getting killed. But I was really relieved to come out in this second half and see that the adjustments that Matty P was making and the Arvell Reese thing. Yeah, about 3 or 4 weeks in, I tweeted out Arvell Reese is going to be the first Buckeye off the board. And even at that time it was a little bit controversial, but I think anymore. I mean, like I said, he's a cheat code when you let him rush the passer, those tackles. I mean, if he somehow doesn't just go right through you, we saw in the Penn State game, he'll just go right around you. He's absolutely ridiculous. A 240-pound, 6'4" human being that bench presses 410 pounds is somebody that I do not want to get in the way of, and I don't think anybody does. Man, this we're watching history here. This defense, this team, this offense is going to go down. Last year we had these same conversations, and yet we're having it again this year. Might go down as one of the best teams that we've watched play here in Ohio State, and that is an absolute mouthful. And I know that could be argued for days and years. Nevada, anything to add before we dive into these super chats? Got them stacking up a little bit here.
Yeah, no, look, it's obviously, at Ohio State, the expectations are so high. It's all going to be, come down to how they do in the playoff. But I mean, I can just tell you, this team's already exceeded my expectations for 2025. They're way better than I thought. They're way advanced to where I thought they could be. And that's a tribute to Ryan Day, the coordinators, the entire staff. They've done an unbelievable job with this team, and I'm enjoying every minute of it.
Yeah, for sure. Like we say, we could be on here for 3 hours talking about just the things we saw in the Penn State game. But here we go. Super chats. Thank you guys for all your super chats, man. They go to help out veterans here on the Scoop channel because they help us out. We want to help them out the best that we can. This is a way that you guys get involved in doing that too. So all your super chats go to do that. We appreciate you guys helping the cause. Pooh Beard 12, one of the GOAT chatters here on the Scoop board. Always been here. Thanks for the $9.99. In my opinion, the crowd got up for the game, but Fox makes it a brutal in-person watch and hard to keep the energy high. Score under 3 minutes. TV to under. Yes, I know. Timeout. Timeout. TV timeouts should be illegal. Pooh Beard, I feel you. I've been to 2 games this year. I plan on going to several more, and then every one of them, even last year, but especially I think the TV. I think there's more and longer TV timeouts this year than there are last year. Might have to do a little research there, but I don't remember that many last year. This year, I guess because I watched all the playoff games, it's different in the playoffs. But this year, the regular season games I've been to Nevada, I thought about that too. Like that's a whole new dynamic in this game. How do you keep that energy going? There's because the momentum gets stopped and started and stopped and started so many times because of these TV timeouts that I've thought about that. Like, how has the coaching had to change up their strategy on what they do during game day to keep that energy or change that energy with all these timeouts going on? Great super chat, Pooh Beard.
Yeah, well, I mean that's where it's incumbent upon game operations to be able to do that. It's an art to be able to do that. And I grew up in the minor league baseball world where everything's about manufactured excitement, and you're trying to do it over 9 innings. And baseball isn't always the most exciting game in the world necessarily, and you're not even sure if your team's going to be good, bad, or whatever it is. So at least with Ohio State, you're going to have a good team. The quarters are 4 quarters, 15 minutes long, so you've got an idea on that. But yeah, the TV timeouts definitely make it challenging, but that's just incumbent upon Ohio State to do a good job doing that. And I think they're doing better now, which is really, that's a start.
Yeah, when you're at those games watching, you see everybody standing around during those TV timeouts. But yeah, it's part of college football now, man. It's what we do. The Doodah man, what's up, brother? Nice to see you. Thanks for the $20, man. Been a Buckeye fan since the late 1950s. Saying is the best QB we have ever had. Period. I think Nevada might agree with you on that one. Nevada, do you agree?
I mean, I'm going to go a step further. I'm going to say he's the best freshman quarterback that's ever played college football. I mean, if you look at freshman eligible quarterbacks, you know, there's nobody even close. Now, will he finish that way? I mean, we're through the meat of, it's not like we played 2 games. We've played 8 games now. We played road games at Washington and at Illinois and at Wisconsin, and we played Penn State. You know what I'm saying? We played Texas. So it's not like he's just played Grambling and we're all, getting excited about one game, and he's getting better. That's the thing. I mean, the question is, to your eye, are you looking at saying and going, wow, this is a guy that's showing more command of the offense. I don't know if you noticed the audible the one time where they were bringing the run blitz from the right side of the line and he switched to a run to the left sideline. I mean, he's got audible powers now. He runs the RPOs flawlessly. So he's the best freshman eligible quarterback that I've ever seen in college football. And like I said, and I don't think it's close.
Yeah, he is putting on a show. I wanted to mention this real fast that, I mean, the Buckeyes, I believe, three of their opponents are two loss teams. What, Illinois, Texas, and is it Washington or something that they're only two loss teams? So the people they have played so far, definitely their defenses. I think it's 4 or 5 top 25 defenses in the nation. So the Buckeyes have played some teams. They just make them look like they're not that good. But the rest of the country, they've only lost 2 games. So Buckeyes, Julian saying, put on a show, no doubt about it. Johnny, thanks for the $1.99, man. My Perdon't friends say they are ready for Saturday. Yeah, at least they didn't say we're ready to win or ready to dominate. Hopefully, they can mentally prepare themselves for what's about to come. It's gonna be a game, man. It's gonna be a game. Nevada, anything to add to that?
Yeah, yeah, I think they're going to really struggle to score. And when you really struggle to score, I mean, I think their best hope is that the weather's really, really bad. And I don't know, I mean, I hate to be weather guy. I mean, my partner B Moses is the weather bug, and so he'll be able to call it up maybe tomorrow. We can start getting to the weather. But I think their only hope is like torrential rain or like a tornado, or the thing like with Dorothy and getting swept off the Oz, is somehow our team gets swept up in some horrible storm or something like that. But yeah, Purdue. Hey, Purdue played well this week. They lost 26-21 to Michigan, but that just, to me, it
16,
just
21.
20, whatever it was. It just
Yeah,
shows you
yeah.
how they sucked. I mean, they suck. Michigan sucks. They all suck. But yeah, they're. Hey, take nobody for granted, but I think we'll be ready.
Yeah, it's maybe we should take Purdue way more seriously because that freshman quarterback that they played this last weekend, we've never seen anything like him. He is generational, never seen anything like him. And Purdue held them to 21 points. And actually, everybody they've played, Jeremiah Smith actually has more touchdowns by himself than the amount of touchdowns that this certain freshman quarterback that we've never seen anything like has all season. 7 compared to 9. I think Carnell Tate might have him beat as well. So 2 of our receivers have more touchdowns than he does all year long. So I feel like the wrong quarterback said, hey, you're never going to see a freshman quarterback like me. Julian Sayin should have said it. That's the other thing about it. When you watch Julian Sayin make these crazy plays, as a matter of fact, all these Buckeyes, they might scream or say something, but you don't see all this other stuff that certain other teams in the country do, especially when they're playing Purdue and they beat how many games is Purdue? Have they lost 7 straight games? Have they won a game yet? What, have they won one game? And they could have won that game. So anyway, that's what I had to say about that.
Yeah, good. Well said.
Hall of Bards, thanks for the $4.99. Short of retractable roof at the shoe for half of the game matchups, does the OSU regain advantage in cold, wet, windy conditions versus team up north without Styles?
With O style, offensive style. Like he's saying their offensive style
Without.
of play lends itself
Oh,
to
okay.
playing outdoors
Got it.
and stuff like that.
Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah. My bad.
I
Yeah.
mean,
I got it.
look, I think it's just for me, I just think it's just all about, I mean, the weather only becomes an issue when it gets to like crazy, crazy. I mean, the great quarterbacks and everything, the Aaron Rodgers, the Tom Brady's, those guys, I mean, they have played some of their best games in bad weather, and poor because they have a high spin rate on the ball, they have a high velocity, they can go out there and they can play it in any types of conditions. So I think for Ohio State, you know, look, I guarantee you, I've watched Julian Sayin play since he was 12 years old. He can throw it in any condition. He can whip the ball in any type of condition. So I think it's just a mindset. And for Ohio State, this year we're just so much better at throwing the ball than passing the ball, or I mean, throwing it than running. And it's I talked about the national championship game when we played Alabama, and they beat us like a drum. I think they threw for 487 yards and rushed for 130 or whatever it was. Nobody cares about the rushing yards if you're putting points up. And I think Ohio State can do it in any type of condition. And like last year, I mean, the Ohio State game, it was cold, and that was really cold, but there's no reason you couldn't throw it. I mean, it was colder the night against Tennessee when we played them against Tennessee. It was cold that night, and Will Howard had no trouble throwing, and Jeremiah Smith had no trouble catching. So I think weather's a mindset. We showed it in that playoff game in December against Tennessee. So yeah, I don't think I think offensive styles. You know, I don't think I think that's kind of a thing to a different age when you needed to like have to this power running game. I don't think we need to have a power running game. I'd love it if we went 3 wide receivers, single or 4 wide receivers, single back. You want to have Max Clare in there, 3 wide receivers, Max Clare in a offset back every time, spread them out, and then run that split zone concept. I'm all about that. I think we'd be just fine.
Yeah, and also I think one of the plays I'm the most comfortable with offensively for these Buckeyes is that quick 5-yard out to JJ or Carnell or any one of these other receivers that we have on this team. When you got a quarterback that can throw it like that, I mean, you can dink and dunk 5-10 yards down the throw just in the pass game when you got 5 different options to go to. Max Clare, your tight ends. We saw Bandit Christian get his first touchdown. There. So he's a receiving threat as well. So not too worried in the weather as well. They'll still be able to attack teams passing it wise, and we'll get the job done. Nevada, that's all the super chats we got. I wanted to end the show and ask you this because I didn't ask you earlier. When I was watching, I just want to make sure when I was watching that game, I felt like the officiating was pretty bad with the holding. I want to make sure I don't have my scarlet glasses on. Are we on the same page there where there are some egregious holdings missed? Not that that's an excuse for the Buckeyes or the defense, but is that something you're seeing? Even the announcers are saying, hey, we got our first passing interference called on us in this game. They tried to call 2 of them, but we accepted the roughing the passer penalty instead. And then Max Clare got that one on him, ruined your betting thing that you had going on there. Sorry about that. But Um, I know this isn't anything new, but is it still as real as like I feel like it is? Because Will Smith got dragged to the ground, man. Like very obviously. Am I off there? Is the same old same?
I think it's same old same. It's not, you're not off. You're
Yeah,
seeing it. It's just
yeah,
it's bad. It's always bad. The answers get professional officials, meaning these guys should be professional officials, only officials. That should be their job, not executive, at multi-mixer, during the day and a official during the weekend. I mean, they should be professional officials. That's the answer. Until they get there, we're just going to have these guys. I thought that crew out there was particularly loose on Saturday. But I'm kind of immune to it anymore. As long as they don't completely take over the game. But it's like the forward progress thing. They were late with that whistle all day. And my only point on that is if you're not going to blow the whistle, then the person should be down where the person's dragged back to then, or wherever it is. I mean, if you're
yeah.
not going to blow the whistle, what's the point of letting the play go on and on and on and on? And just, for us with CJ, it ended up in an unfortunate turnover, but I just think they were just bad. But at this point, I'm just kind of numb to it.
Yeah. Yeah, Steely said Kenyatta's still being held right now. Yeah, rumor is he couldn't even get on the bus. They were holding him from getting on the bus. So that's the rumor that we heard there. So, yeah, it's wild. I would love to see some accountability for some of these officials. You see in the ACC when they do the review, it's in front of the whole nation now. You hear, is it the ACC or Big 12? One of them.
ACC. Yeah.
Yeah, the ACC, that's called being held accountable. I would love to see more of that. But either way, Buckeyes on a roll, man. Excited. Got Purdue coming up next. Ryan Day's dialing some things in. We're going to be a passing team so we can open up the run game. I love it, love it, love it. Matty P showed the ability to adjust at halftime this game. A lot of good things going on for this Buckeye team. We're watching history right now, so pay attention. Don't get too caught up and these running backs and all this other thing. We're dominating on the field, but what's going to matter? Let's see this Big Ten title game. Let's see what we do in the playoffs. Great to be a Buckeye. Nevada final closing thoughts.
Yeah, no, enjoy every game. Yeah, I think college football's down this year. I think there's a lot of mediocre teams and there's one great team, and we're the great team. And enjoy every game because the season span, we're 8 games into this season already, so we're officially 50% of the way done. And that makes me sad because these seasons go way too, it's the off seasons are too long and the seasons are way too short. So enjoy every game.
Yeah. Yeah, the number one team, it's either Ohio State or Miami. Oh, wait, never mind. On that note, we appreciate you guys for watching. Don't forget to hit that like button. Go to the Apple Podcast. Leave us a review over there. Hit the like button as well. Appreciate you guys. Love you guys. Go Buckeyes. OH.
IO.